Alright, so getting myself into another mess here. Just made a repair on my pickup truck. I had a problem with the odometer not turning, and it was intermittent. If I'd bang on the dash, it would work, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. So what ended up being the problem, I don't know how common this is, but it's a 95 Ford Ranger, okay, and it's not a shaft coming up from the flexible shaft coming up from the transmission. It's electrically driven. So this little motor and this little worm gear go back into this assembly right here. They just clip, they twist into here. Put them in there, twist it in there, and then you plug the plug back up here, and that turns the gears. And this whole assembly fits into here, and then you snap that whole thing into the dash. So anyway, what had happened was this worm gear is missing a chunk right down here in the bottom. That little piece right there broke off. Okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. I got another one. See? Oh, come on, cooperate. So that's what it's supposed to look like, the one on the left. So it sheared off, and it would jam it up. So what I did was went to the junkyard. Actually, the last time I was in New York, I went to M&M U-Pull-It, and they're awesome. Could not find a Ranger that had a dash in it. This came out of a 95 Ford Explorer, so I don't have the tachometer. The mileage is similar on this one to mine. I have 158. Thought maybe if nothing else, I could go ahead and swap these out. Instead of doing that, the first thing I did was to clean these contacts. I thought maybe the contacts were bad, but they weren't. So the next thing I wanted to do was just, try and change out the motors, because if you take this off, there's a little circuit board back here, and there's a computer chip soldered on here. I didn't know if they were the same, and I thought, you know what, we'll just take the motor out. Popping the motor out is pretty simple. All you do is push up on these two little tabs, and then you spin it and it pops it out, and it just pulls out. So all I ended up doing was pulling the motor out of here and popping it into the truck, and then that was it. This motor I pulled out of another unit that I found under the hood of a truck. I wasn't 100% sure this one was good, but it's interesting to note that I found this online, and I saw another YouTube video where the fellow was he had repaired this, and he bought a brand new worm gear, and that's the way to do it. This little worm gear was $25, just the gear. I'm not paying $25 for that. I paid $12 for this instrument cluster and an extra one of these. So I have another one in case it goes bad, and it probably will, I guess, but whatever. But what are you gonna do? Well, this is the good one. But yeah, it was a headache, but once I figured out what was wrong, then it wasn't a big deal. The real kicker is, if you have to take this out of here, you want to make sure that you save the calibration from the speedometer. And the way to do that is to hook up a positive wire here and here. Run them to the positive, alligator clip here and here, run it to the positive side of a AA battery. Then you want to run a wire clip from here to there, and then run that to the negative terminal on the battery. And what it will do is it fires up the speedometer, and it'll go up and it'll stop. And it stopped at about 68 miles per hour or so. So then what you do, you take your pencil or whatever and you make a little mark on here, okay? Then you pop off the speedometer needle, okay? because once you disassemble this, if you don't mark that, you put it back together, you don't know what you got. You're going to have to really play with it. So then when you go to reassemble, put it back together, hook up the power to it, line up the needle where you marked it, and stab it back on, and you ought to be right about where you need to be. So yeah, junkyards are excellent for parts, and I don't prefer to buy electrical parts from them, but you know, I was there on vacation visiting, and that's my favorite junkyard, so I went, and yeah, it was a good time. So anybody else has any horror stories with these things? I like to know how many miles is on my truck so that I can know when I got to change oil. So I had to get done. So there you are. Hope that helps somebody.